$40 million in business. Sonia has been named Entrepreneur of the Year in 2004 or 2003 it might have been. The difference was just using marketing systems to sell these ordinary products that you can find in any pharmacy. There's a lot of people copy them now, but last year they did $40 million. They are now named in the richest young, on the BRW Rich Young Rich list. They're worth about $30 million net worth after 8 years starting from nothing. Peter started with one of my products, mail order products, just a book, and learned some marketing skills from the programs that he got off me. That was about 8 years ago. So if you want to make more money, you've got to use your brain, not your brawn. You're not going to get rich by, working harder. You've got to really start to guard your mind against garbage, because your outer world is always a reflection of your inner world. If right now in your life you don't have what you want, it's because you don't see yourself as having that, that more. They say that if you want to make more money, you've got to focus on your goal. You can't focus on your empty bank account. All right? So the other thing is that you've got to guard yourself against negative people, negative thinking. We watch the National Depression Session every day, the news. Right? You hear all the negativity going around. If you listen to it, it drags you down. One of the greatest things that stops people from being successful is their emotions, how they feel, and their peer group, who they're surrounded by. Right? Are they people that lift you up or people that bring you down? You've got to put yourself in an environment where you start to raise your standard, where you expect more from yourself today than you did yesterday. That's the only way you're going to move up. You've got to make that decision. Right? Nobody else can do that for you. Studies have shown that companies in trouble often go out of business, right, because they focus more on their problems than on the solutions. Right? So when people are in trouble, they focus so much on the problem, they actually create more of that problem in their mind. And remember this, everything around us today, like this table, right, the chair you sit on at one point didn't exist. It was only in somebody's imagination. So if you can't imagine yourself being more successful, you never will be. It always starts with the vision first. If you want to win a gold medal at the Olympics, right, you've got to set the goal first, and then you work your way up to that goal. I often say, you could have this seminar where you don't have all this motivational stuff and neuro-linguistic programming, but you just get a baseball bat, and you say to people, now, tell me your top 3 goals, and if you don't reach them by next time we come here in 3 months' time, I'm going to belt you over the head with the bat. Now, if you really thought I was going to do that, do you think you'd reach those goals? Or if I said, give me 3 goals you're going to absolutely reach in the next 3 months, so I'm going to take your kids away, would you then go and do it? Absolutely, but oftentimes we don't put enough leverage on ourselves to do the things that we know we have to do, and we let time pass. We kind of let another 5 years go by, and then we wake up and we think, God, why didn't I do something? I know people that studied the same tools, the same information that I did 15 years ago who are still driving courier trucks today. I took the action and I reaped the rewards. Not rocket science, but you got to do something. So let's talk about the 6 success pitfalls. Number 1, people that fail, they major in minors. What I mean in that is they focus on the little things. They focus on the petty things in their life. What's wrong in their life, whether the business cards are the right color, right? All the little things that don't make a difference. They tidy up their desk instead of getting on the phone, talking to customers. They overestimate the people they rely on, right? At the end of the day, you've got to rely on yourself. If you want to be successful, you've got to make it happen. They do not take responsibility. People that fail will often say, it's the industry, or it's a bad market, or it's this, or it's that. Any industry always has people that are making good money, as long as there's a market for what you're selling. Right? There's people making $1 million right now in real estate. There's people making $1 million right now from mortgages. There's people making millions of dollars in all sorts of businesses. Right? Failures don't spend time improving themselves and see their businesses as separate from themselves. People that don't succeed often think the business is at fault rather than seeing themselves as being the one that has got to grow. In order for your business to improve, you've got to improve yourself. You've got to lift yourself up. You've got to change yourself from the inside. Failures compare themselves with standard practices and results as opposed to opening their mind to higher levels. What people that are mediocre do is they say, I'm not as bad as he is. I'm not as bad as she is, right? Instead of saying, I want to be better. I want to be like him. I want to be earning $3 million like the guy that I've seen on TV, who they said was the number 1 company in Australia for the industry that I'm in. Right? And number 6, failures don't step up their lifestyle and have a poverty mentality. If you want to be more successful, you've got to raise your thinking. You've got to dress as if you're successful. You've got to drive a nice car. You've got to live in a nice house. I had a fellow working for me years ago. He drove this rusty old bomb, living in this little place in somewhere, I don't even remember where he was now. And I said, listen, get yourself into a new car, right? And get into a nice place somewhere on the water. Just rent it. It'll cost you $300, $400 a week. It's not that expensive on the Gold Coast. I said, you've got to start to think as if you're already going to be successful. And he did it, and he paid off that car within 6 weeks of buying it. Brand new car, cost him $26,000. He paid it off in 6 weeks. I'll share his story with you, his story with you later on. He actually paid off that car, and he made $1 million now within 3.5 years from starting. He was a casino croupier at Jupiter's 3.5 years ago. Today he's worth over $1 million. So why do businesses fail? Within the first 5 years, 4 out of new businesses go out of business. I'll tell you what, the only reason businesses fail is because they don't make enough money. Right? They're not making enough sales at a high enough profit to stay open. That's it. No other reason. Right? So let's talk about the secrets for massive business success. Number one is you've got to take risk. If you want to be successful, entrepreneurs take risk. Low risk equals low return. Right? There's no such thing as taking low risk and getting a high return on your bank. Number two, entrepreneurs focus on one thing and do it well. They don't diversify until they've mastered it. They don't overestimate the short term or underestimate the long term. You can achieve a lot in the long term, but in the short term you've got to give yourself time to actually master whatever it is that you're trying to do. Number four, they never give up. Right? They just change tack. If something doesn't work, they just try something else. And number five, they do the numbers. They back themselves to the hilt. Number six, they surround themselves with like-minded people. They make decisions quickly and confidently because they know that you learn by making mistakes. Right? The only way you're going to get wisdom in life is by doing something and then making a mistake and then learning from that mistake. So if one person can do it, so can they. That's number 11, and they do whatever it takes to change their life. I'm just running through this because I want to give you an overview, because I want to get to the bits that are really going to show you the specifics on how to make the money. But if you don't get this right, then all the other stuff isn't going to work, because the first time you hit an obstacle, it's like you got to say, oh, it's not my fault, or, I can't do this because I haven't got the skills or I haven't got the knowledge and so on. So what are the greatest business challenges today? Okay, number one is the clutter factor. If you're in business, it is really hard to make money because there's so many messages out there. Advertising is everywhere. So how do you stand out? How do you make your business stand out? How do you get people to call you rather than somebody else? Number two, increasing costs. Right? Marketing and advertising is going up, out of proportion to the results and revenue. And number three is competition. Right? Who's lucky enough to have no competitors? The fact is that now the cost has tripled. Since 1985 to today, the cost of getting new customers has tripled, as Kevin has said. That's the problem. That's one of our strategies, right? 732 customers on a Saturday morning in front of a business. That's power. That's leverage. Here's a result of one of our clients that actually gone out there working with businesses and actually within 2 weeks made $41,000. He's a stationery store owner, right, in Melbourne. He actually wasn't making any money because he had all this staff, all these overheads, and at the end of the year he had no profit. So he started selling the information that we have. You can actually see the sales ledger of Michael here there on the board. Every sale is like $1,700, $1,800, $1,900. I'll share with you later on how he actually did that. It was just through little workshops to restaurants, where he sold a package like to help them improve their business. But that was in 2 weeks, which is more than he made in a year in his stationery business. So. But here's the part that every business got to take if you want to make money in the long term, right? Number one is you got to create a profit objective. So you got to know how much money you want to make. So if you want to make money, you got to know where do I want to end up? Do I want to franchise? Do I want to make $1 million? What is it that I actually want? So first thing, set a goal. Second thing is you got to select and target your best market niches, the top 10%. That's a concept I'm going to share with you later about how that works. The key concept of being successful. Number one, once you know where your market is, then you've got to create selling opportunities by maximizing the number of prospects. That's point 3. Right? You've got to be able to get people to call you, like in your real estate business or your mortgage broking business or your IT business. You've got to have somebody to call up and say, hey, I'm interested, right? Once you've got that, then of course you've got to convert them into a customer. Just because somebody walks into a retail shop doesn't mean they're going to buy. Just because somebody calls you business doesn't mean they're going to do business.